Welcome everybody to Boston Buddies. Today is May 7th, Thursday. We have with us today the Becca Pizzi. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Vince? Boston
Good.
Buddy?
Hello, fellow Boston Buddy. Yes, how long have you been a member of the group?
A couple years, definitely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what, I always wonder, sorry to jump right in. I always wonder how people how did you even find out about us? Did somebody invite you or?
Somebody from the Squeakers, are you familiar with the Boston Squeakers, invited me onto here, and then I invited my uncle and sister and some friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a family affair.
Yeah.
But you're not a squeaker though.
Yeah.
So Becca is the proud author of this new book, Feet on Feet, which is the story of her conquering the 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And you were the first American woman to do that, correct?
I was, yeah.
Yes. And you hold the record, the women's record, correct?
I do, yeah.
Yes. Oh, no big deal, right? It's a children's book. It just got released this week, is it?
Yeah, last Friday.
Last Friday, okay. And one thing I do want to note, she was very kind to sign this for my daughter Peyton for her birthday. I read it to Peyton, she loved it.
Oh,
I'm trying to convert her into a runner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our group, obviously we're a bunch of runners. We'd love to first hear how you're doing over in Boston right now. Obviously things are not the same. How's all your training going, things like that?
I stayed in a routine. The one thing that I said to myself is stick to a routine, whether you get up. And so I'm still running every day, 6 a.m. More, actually, I'm running like 6 or 7 days a week. Usually I'm 5 to 6, but running about 6 to 7 days a week. That's
good. Yeah, staying in a routine is challenging these days, but if you can do it, yeah, it will help just mentally. I think it will help. Moving, getting outside first thing in the morning, getting up and moving. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. So I guess one thing that I always ask is, what got you into running? Your intro video. We were chatting a little bit, and it sounds like your dad had a huge part in starting your running career. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure thing. So my dad is my hero. He took me to my first race when I was 6 years old in my hometown of Belmont. And I remember winning my age group. I think I was the only one in my age group. So I won it. And I got all of these awesome little awards from the bank, Bay Bank. And I just remember getting in the car and really loving that feeling. And I never stopped. It took me all the way through college and after college. And it's been great.
Wow. And then you were super young when you were in Boston, right? You were 17?
I was 17. I don't know how I squeaked in as a 17-year-old. I handed my ID and I ran with Liberty Girls Running Club and I loved it. And I grew up watching the Boston Marathon because I live 6 miles away from the finish line. Okay.
So if you keep at it, you could probably set the record because you for consecutives because you've started so early.
I got a little head start.
Right. But you've run 17 since then.
I have, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's an impressive streak so far. I like your medal holder back there with all of your.
It's pretty fitting.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your career though? You ran in high school and you ran college as well?
Yeah, I ran in high school and then I went on to college and actually played soccer as well. Back then in NCAA, you could play 2 sports in one season. You cannot any longer, but I was lucky enough to be able to play the 2 sports that I love. And I loved the running. It's taken me so after college and I had so much fun with it. So I always ran the longest distance, which was the 5K. So I really, really loved it. And I had a great relationship with all of my coaches in high school and college. And when I ran the 777, the coach from college came to cheer me on. So it was just awesome.
He took the trip with you?
Yeah, he went to Miami, the USA location. And to hear him scream for me the way he used to, it's just something I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Yeah, in the book, you you do mention that about, going back to the USA, as your home turf. That was great.
Yeah.
So, but even before the 7 continents, you've done what, 33 states, I think, about 33 states you've run a marathon.
I'm doing the 50 states, which has been so much fun, going to Hawaii and Alaska and doing what I love to run and I love to travel. So as soon as I got to 15 or so marathons, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna knock out the 50 states.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that as well. I think I'm at like 18 or something like that. It's taking me forever, but I'm just enjoying it because I'm going to places I would never go. Like I have no reason to go to North Dakota.
Right. And then you see Mount Rushmore and you're like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, why didn't I do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
I went out to Utah a couple of summers ago, and I've never been to Utah. It's just a beautiful state. You know, Emily Morley's there. You can always visit Emily Morley now.
Yeah.
You ever go to Utah?
I did St. George, Utah, which I loved.
Okay.
The hardest part is picking out like one marathon, because you hear about all these different marathons in one state, and choosing the one to run is kind of a little stressful, but.
Yeah. I know. It's like, oh, I maybe do it twice. Do it every state twice.
yeah, to get them all in. Yeah.
Right. And then I guess what made you decide to do the 7 continents? Like that's pretty big undertaking.
Yeah, so for those not familiar, it's the World Marathon Challenge, and it's 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And at the time I had run maybe 45 marathons. Living in New England, you get all of the weather. So you run in cold and heat. And I had gone to Hawaii and it was 92 degrees when I ran that marathon. I had been to New Hampshire running that marathon. It was -2. So I thought, I have a shot at making history. An American female has never run this race before. I'm going to go for it. So I think my daughter was 8 at the time, and it was so important that she was on board because I would be giving up my life to train for this race and laying my heart out there and making sure that she was and so she was so excited. She was like, I believe in you, Mom, you can do it. And definitely my biggest cheerleader. I was lucky to have her. And had she had another answer, don't do it, I'm worried. My parents had a very different answer, and they were very, very stressed out about safety and me. Right. My mom was like, you're going to get attacked by penguins in Antarctica. I'm like, that's probably not going to happen. But, it was during ISIS. Yeah. It was during ISIS when I committed to doing it. It was just a very scary time, but the thought of making history, I'm like, I'm going to go for it. So that's really what it came down to, making history.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you dedicated the book to your daughter, which was very nice.
Yeah. She definitely is my biggest cheerleader, and we have a great relationship. I'm definitely really lucky to be her mom, and she helped me write the book, really, and it's been great.
It's really cool. So yeah, can we kind of go over the marathons? Because like just getting, the first one was Antarctica, right?
Yeah.
Just getting there, how did you get there?
We flew in on the Russian Illusion, which is a military private plane. It was really cool. And it landed on a glacier. And it's really Antarctica is the coolest place on Earth. It's incredible. You step off the plane and you're thinking, I get to run here. This is amazing. But then it's so cold that you're really like intimidated by it. You're like, this is the unknown. I've never run in anything like this. I had gone to Canada to prepare myself for the cold and run in Montreal during freezing temperatures, but nothing, it's freezing. And you have to be covered head to toe. You have to make sure I would be so embarrassed if I didn't get through the first one. The good thing is Antarctica's first, so you're like, let me just get through this. And it was -10 degrees. It's not absolutely freezing, but the problem is you go from Antarctica -10 to the next location and it's like 80 degrees. So that definitely the hardest. The temperature change was tough for me, but my motto was get comfortable with being uncomfortable and you'll make it. And that was the entire, what I said in my training when I was too tired to get up but you just trust, you make a training plan and stick to it.
What did you wear for -10 degrees?
So I went to EMS Sports and I got the Summit Series gear. And so, Gargoyle makes sunglasses, Tracksmith on Newberry Street in Boston. They were like, they found me the greatest pair of sunglasses, Gargoyle. And it was really important that my glasses didn't fog up. So having the gear and trusting in the gear that you have for Antarctica, that was the hardest part because you can't test it. I mean, you really can't unless, there's no way to test Antarctica weather because there's nothing like it. So you just had to dig deep, and the terrain was kind of rugged and tough to get a grip. But the good thing is you can't go out fast, so you're just kind of like, but I remember crossing the finish line, and one of the Marines who had run the race too passed me the American flag, and I'll never forget that. I got to wave the finish line, the flag across, American flag across the finish line. And I thought, I'm really tired, and that's because I had all this gear on and I had all this. So, and there's no Wi-Fi, it's very different. There's no way that you have to go and use like a satellite phone to call home, and the whole, so it was really, if you ever get to go to Antarctica, the chance to go.
Okay. I will take your advice. I want to do all 50 states and the 7 continents. I don't know if I'll do 7 in 7 days, but I would like to do all the continents. Yeah. So then you basically get done that. How do you remember how long it took to do that?
It was like 352.
And what are you running on? It's not roads, right?
It's a glacier, so it's compact snow. Like it's really hard snow. Right. So it's a 10K course, so you just run it 4 times, and the hardest part is you have to run by the illusion, the plane, and you want to get up and go sit on the plane, but you have to just keep running, and that was really tempting. But you count down by laps, and it was so cold that stuff I didn't realize, like my iPod didn't work because it was so cold. So that's you're like, what am I going to do for 4 hours? There's no cheerleaders. You just have to really just focus on the run.
Just get it over with. Just suffer through it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But I had 1 year to mentally prepare myself for Antarctica. So
and did you have special shoes for it, or
I wear my Newton. Newton's the only sneaker that I run in, the Newton Faith. But you could wear Yak Tracks. The problem with the Yak Tracks is anything more than a 10K or half marathon, I didn't want to develop like shin splints or anything. So I didn't wear them.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you do Antarctica, and then how long before you get in a plane and fly to South America? That was the next one, right?
Yeah, the next one was about 7 hours to Chile. So
7 hours flight.
Yeah, and the problem with that plane was that it was the military plane was your like bucket style seating with the seatbelts coming over your head like a military plane. So I just laid on the floor. I just went down and laid on the floor. That's fine.
Just let your legs recover or something.
Yeah.
Did you sleep on the plane?
I did. I was lucky enough. I had no trouble sleeping. We averaged about 10 hours per continent. And we averaged to 7 to 10 hours flying. People were like, how did you sleep on the plane? And I was like, well, we just ran a marathon, so we were so tired that we were able to sleep on the plane. So I had no trouble. Actually, I felt guilty with the amount of sleep that I got. I got like 78 hours a night.
And how many people did it? Like
the first time that I did it, there were 15 runners. There were only 4 Americans. And then the second time I did it, there were 50. So the first time that I did it, the major concern was we were flying commercial. So my parents' concern was that I would put in a year of very hard work and I would do everything right on my end. And then we would be delayed on a flight out because you only have 7 hours. So that was actually very stressful for me. The second time, the race director, Richard Donovan, he got a chartered plane. And so we were able to leave our stuff on the plane from that point on. So it was a lot easier the second time.
The same plane took you all around the world?
Except for Antarctica, because you have to take a military plane to land on a glacier. But from Antarctica, from Chile on, it was like a luxury. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that's the way to go if you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went from -10 to 80 degrees in Chile. Okay. And your body was fine. Like what happened to you? Like how was your body reacting to that? Or
I felt great. I had friends and family on every continent except for Antarctica. I don't think anybody loves me that much, but I was able to have my friend Jenny come down there, and at the time we're training for a lot of marathons together. So to have her there running with me, it meant so much. Like it was just once I would start running, I'm like, okay, I'm running. This is what I know how to do, and to have somebody to run with on every continent was so helpful. And it was great, and it was a little windy. I remember being really windy in Chile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, we're going from really cold to wind, but it was hot. Yeah.
What was the course? Was it the same type of thing where it's a loop or was it a marathon, like a point to point, or
all of the courses to get into the Guinness Book of World Records, they were certified, and so they're either straight shots out and back, or they're circle loops, so impossible to get lost. So it was really, and then there were water stops and everything that we needed there, of course.
Gotcha. Was it hilly in Chile?
No, it was, Madrid was hilly.
Okay.
So Chile was flat and right on the water, so that felt nice too.
Okay. And then what did you run that one in the first time?
I think I was right below 3:48.
3:48. Okay. And then as soon as you're done that, hop right back on a plane. And then you flew to where, Miami?
Miami. And it was so nice to have home course advantage. So Marathon 3, my whole family's there. It was really nice to have the support of them. And my sister brought me a Starbucks, and it was nice to have everything for after the race. And it was nice to have my family there, my coach there. But I believe that the Patriots were in the Super Bowl playing Miami actually at the time or something. And it was something like that. It was a big game, but yeah, it was nice to have, and also the Miami Marathon was 2 days before. So there were many runners out there cheering us on that had their medals. That was really awesome.
Okay. And was it the same course as the Miami Marathon? Or?
No, because they have to keep an eye, they have to make sure that because we had to keep it, when we would touch down, it would be like touching down in Logan and going right over to the Charles River.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And then, so you basically did Miami, and then you hop on another plane, fly to Madrid, Spain. How long of a flight is that from Miami?
Madrid was 9 hours. So that was no problem going to Madrid. Actually, I welcomed the hills. It was hilly, and I thought, this is just something to do. This is just like, hills is fine. It reminded me of Heartbreak Hill, and it was nice to have the rolling hills there. I really loved the Madrid. The people there were so friendly. At the end of the course, there was a restaurant, and the owner was like, come in and eat our foods, and you can, and he let us take off. And then we showered at his restaurant and went on to the next station. And there were no hotels. There was nothing like that. So we showered where we could shower and eat what we could eat.
I guess you're not sleeping anywhere any night, so you don't need a hotel. You just go. Yeah. Spain. I was in Spain once. I went there for New Year's one year, and it was incredible. We went to Seville. Yeah. The people were so friendly. Fun. Yeah, but they really do the siesta every day, and it was so much fun to just hang out with people in the middle of the day and start drinking wine and eating and stuff like that. It was awesome.
So fun. Yeah, they had a huge feast for us. Actually, the restaurant just gave us so much food.
Yeah, it was so friendly there. Yeah, I had a great time. And then at least the next one isn't as bad of a flight. When you went to Africa, Morocco.
So the problem was it was only an hour and a half flight from Madrid to Morocco. So I crossed the finish line at 11 a.m. in Madrid and was towing the line of Morocco that same night at midnight. So I was I can just get through these 2 back-to-back marathons. I'll be home free. This was also very stressful to me because you're essentially running 2 marathons within 24 hours for Madrid and Morocco.
Right. And how was your body? How was your body at that point after Morocco? Because that's a lot of miles.
It was good. It was starting to fatigue. My body was starting to fatigue at that time. I would say I just kind of felt tired. But it was weird. Once I got to mile 5 in every race, I was like, okay, I'm up. It kind of I felt strong, confident, in the zone.
Mm-hmm. So did you do any training where you did back-to-back marathons in a day in 2 days or anything?
I did. I did a ton of training like that, and whether I would be running at 7 o'clock at night, and then the next morning I would get up at 4:30, and I would do. And I did a couple 100-mile weeks. So I would go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'd go 20, 15, 20, 10, 10, 10, 10. So to get 100 miles a week, I'd start with a Friday, I'd go 20, 15, 20, 10, 10, 10, 10. And that would simulate what I would be feeling like when I would be running, I thought.
Okay. Well, it seemed to work.
Yeah.
How was Morocco? What was the weather there?
Hot. It was hot. There were camels. It was really cool. My friend Janet biked the whole thing with me. And again, it was so great to see her there. And that was one of my favorite locations. Morocco was really neat. I couldn't believe I was in Africa. I'm like, this is just so cool.
Right. You know what? It's like a great time to be alive, because we can, up until about 8 weeks ago, but other than that, we were able to travel everywhere, and you could go to all these countries, which you really couldn't do that not that long ago. Yeah.
And eating the foods there, and I had a dessert on every continent, which was really, I'm really happy that I did that. I had Moroccan cookies in Morocco. I had ice cream in Antarctica. It was neat to say that, to tell the kids that.
I guess what do you do for food? Do they provide you food, or you're on your own? You basically got to buy it?
You're on your own. You cross the finish line. And actually, so when the second time we did it, when you cross the finish line, you go straight over to the closest hotel, which was always mostly within walking distance. And then you just eat at the bar, so you only have about 3 or 4 hours in the hotel. So, and then, so you have to order your food, shower, you eat your food, and call your family, and then go to the next location. There's no, even though the bed was right there, you could never just go sleep in it. You wouldn't want to do that.
That's a lot. What? Yeah. So, we have a quick question. So Stuardo, he has a question. Any cross strength training during the 100-mile weeks?
Yeah, I did. I did a lot of strength training, and that was super helpful. Bought a Peloton. That was really helpful. I bought a sauna when they delivered it to the house. They couldn't believe that it was a house. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to do a little sauna training, which was helped me out a lot.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of cross training and actually a lot of yoga. Wasn't really familiar with yoga, but I knew that I needed it to stay afloat. So mostly yoga, a lot of cross training. And
yoga is a surprisingly hard strength training exercise. I've done yoga before. I've done it when I couldn't run, and I had to recover from a Achilles injury, and I did it for 3 months, and I was in great shape after those 3 months. And it's just movement, it's doing kind of, they're like push-ups, when you do the downward dog and the vinyasas.
Oh, definitely helped my core. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a full body workout. It's incredible. Yeah. So you were in Africa, Morocco. You've done Morocco, and it was, how many degrees was it there again?
Oh, that was warm. That was 85 degrees.
Another 85-degree marathon.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and then you fly over to Dubai to cover Asia, right?
Yeah.
How long of a flight was that?
12 hours.
Ouch. Okay, 12 hours. Hopefully you slept.
I slept, I had gotten off the phone with my dad. I said, we are 2 marathons away from making history. I feel strong. I feel like I'm right where I need to be. I have a lot left in the tank. I was at Marathon 6, Dubai, mile 2, and I felt this tear in my groin. And so I was laying down, and the medical team had said, if it's a blood clot, we can't clear you to run, but it turned out to be a tear. So when I learned that it was a tear, I had gotten up, and one of the things that I read Tom Brady said in the Boston Globe, we did not come this far just to come this far. And I was like, I did not give up a year of my life to train for this race, run 6 marathons to not finish this race. So, I thought about my family, and, it was really devastating, but I thought, okay, when I got up, I finished that marathon, and I thought, you have 1 marathon to go. You're 4 hours from making history. So you can spend 4 hours in a lot of pain, or 40 years for the rest of your life saying how you almost did it. It just wasn't, not finishing this race was not an option for me. It just wasn't. I just committed to run on broken legs if I needed to, but this was my first injury ever. So I really, I tend to listen to my body. If I have something that hurts or something, I just back off, but that wasn't an option this time, you know? So,
Right.
I got this email I had like 1,300 emails, and I got this email and it said, Dr. Brown from Harvard University. He said, I hope you get this email. And if you run with your toes facing all the way in, you're going to take the pain off your groin. I'll never forget it, you know? And I did that, and it helped a lot. So, I was able to run the next marathon.
So, it was a tear though. Like that's not that easy. Yeah, that's got to be painful. Yeah.
It was so painful that all I could remember is my lips moving on their own, like when I was trying to walk, you know. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to run this marathon. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Wow. So, did you tape it up, or what did they do?
I put icy hot in different countries. Like my husband went and got me some. It burned the first layer of my skin off. So I just made it worse, but that, you know, that's the thing. Like I said, go to, he was meeting me in Australia at the finish line. And I said, I'm in so much pain. Get me anything that you have, you know, and he had gotten me, that, and it literally took the first layer off. And I didn't know what I was doing. But one story about that is, there was the airline stewardess. She said, I was crying. I was in hysterics. I was just upset and, you know, not in a good place. And especially like missing my daughter. And, you know, I was like, how I cannot walk. How am I going to do this? And she had switched out my ice pack for me when I was on my leg, when I was sleeping. And, you know, she's like, go back to bed. I'm going to take care of it. 12-hour flight. And when she had a layover in Australia, so at mile 24, she came to cheer me on, and she was crying. And she's like, I knew you were going to finish. I wasn't going to miss it for anything. And you never forget that.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So you're in Dubai. Yeah. Then Australia, 12 hours, another 12 hours.
Yeah. I forget.
12-hour flight with the torn muscle laying down. Yeah. And then Australia, it was Sydney. Is that where the marathon?
Sydney, Australia. Had friends there cheering me on. And, and that's what, you know, my daughter, she was in school at the time, you know, and that was like, she just said, Mom, good luck. You got this. You can do it. And so when I crossed the finish line, my parents were live on Skype, and that's what I did. I just took like 1 mile at a time, and they were live on Skype, and they were like crying, and they were like, we did it. And I was like, so going forward, we're we, and that's been a lot of fun. And, you know, I got to throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park and be in a commercial, and I just can't believe how lucky that I feel. But my daughter was pulled from the classroom, and she got to go to the principal's office and announce that I had just made history, you know, and that was really cool, because her whole school did homework based off of where I was. And so it was nice that they helped me like that, you know, and they made me feel so loved.
Yeah, it encourages you. You know, it helps to have people in your corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the Australia marathon though? Was it hot there?
It was awesome. It was warm. It was midnight there. So it was really late. So yeah, it was great. And my friends were there, and that was really awesome to have friends and family there, like on video. But what I remember about Australia is the people, they held signs for me. They were so friendly, you know, and they had one of their own women in the races, and I'm like, they're not going to cheer for me. They're only going to cheer for her. And actually it was complete, like they just cheered for me as much as they cheered for Heather. And that was like, meant a lot to me, you know, and I'm so far away from home, you know, so I felt so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, how did you deal with the different time zones? Like, did you even know what time or day of the week it was when you were?
No, we crossed 16 time zones. So I remember it was much like a Siri. They didn't. It was like, I would say, I'd ask my phone, what time is it in Boston? And then it would be like 2:00, and I'm like, AM, and I'm like, oh, I can't call home. That's, you know, that's exactly what when I would touch off the plane, time gets away from you. So you just ask your phone, what time is it in Boston? And then I would know.
Right. Yeah, I get, like, mentally, it probably just as hard mentally to do that race as it is physically.
Yeah, but once you're running, you're like, okay, I'm running. I can do this. This is what I love to do. This is so that's
right.
what I.
And then you're one of the few people I know. I think you're actually the only person I know that had a day named after them. Right, February 4th.
Yeah, so. Yeah, the town of Belmont, where I've lived my whole life, minus the college years, put on this unbelievable parade for me. I got to ride on the top of a fire truck with American flags, and the whole town came to support me, and they had been on this journey with me. And it's I credit so much of my success to the town of Belmont and surrounding town, Boston, and but because they're so supportive, you know, and I lay my dreams out there, and the fact that they care as much as I do, it means so much to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Boston's got a great running community in general.
Yeah.
You know, all the running, Tracksmith, there's a great, great store. It's a store, but you know, they really do a nice job with all the runners every Sunday. I've done the Sunday runs where they give you the free pancakes.
Yeah, and they bust runners out and to run back to the finish line, and they're totally supportive.
Yeah, and then you did it once, and then you decided to do it again.
Yes, yeah, I did it again, and this time had a lot of help from Tom Brady's company, TB12. So we did pliability, foam rolling, nutrition. We did a lot of that, and to have their help and support, they documented the journey, which I'd be happy to share. And that was really awesome because they were so supportive. And you know, I said, well, what do you know about runners? And they said, we don't know a lot about runners, but we know a lot about the human body. And I thought, well, if it works for Tom Brady, it will definitely work for me. And they just treated me so well, and they flew to the finish line and cheered me on, and it was awesome. It was great.
How was it the second time around though? Like, was it easier or harder?
It was like running a second marathon. The first time you're like, okay, I've done this. How can I do it better? And then when you have the confidence and in the training and again, so I finished the second time without an injury. I ran 2 days later. So having their help with the pliability and stretching.
That's great. And how was your time? A lot faster a second time? Or?
Yeah, so I lowered my record, which was pretty awesome because this time my daughter was at the finish line. So for her to get to run the last 100 yards with me, you know, 50 years ago, women were told that their bodies couldn't handle the distance of a marathon. Fast forward 50 years, and I'm crossing the finish line for the second time with her by my time.
You're doing stuff most guys can't do. That sounds like such an amazing experience though. Like do you think you'll do it again?
I would love to. Yeah. Third time's a charm. I think if he changes the location, it's hard. I think the hardest part is going back to the same locations because it's tough to mentally go through, which is ironic because I run the Boston Marathon every single year, but that's just my absolute favorite day of the year. But when Richard, the race director, changed the locations, I'm like, oh, I'm in. This is Cartagena, Colombia. Are you kidding me? Of course. And even the places in Antarctica changed. We went from Union Glacier to another location. But that even changed. So I got to see the whole other opposite side of Antarctica too. So, and we went from Cape Town, then we went to Morocco and then the second time went to Cape Town. So it was great. Lisbon, Europe, and it was great.
Well, yeah, if he keeps changing the locations, you'll have to keep going back. You know,
it's a no-brainer.
Right. Did you run it the year? I think Dave McGilvery did it the one year. Did you run it the same year?
I did. I was giving him some tips on how to run it, and then I decided that I wanted to run it, so I ran it again. So, you know, and it's funny because it's hard to give him tips because he's run across the U.S. So I'm like, this would be easy for you. We've done this. This is so. That was really fun to be on the journey with him, you know, and that was really special.
Yeah. And did Michael Wardian do it that year as well?
He did it in between the year he did it the year before I did.
Okay. Because he did it in some insane amount of time. Each one, he was like 240 something every.
He called me, he was asking me about the race, and he's like, because I said, well, what are you looking to run? I had no idea. He said, I'm going to be running about 240s. I'm like, 240? And I Googled, I thought I was didn't hear right. I Googled him, and I'm like, he's going to run 240. And he did. He just nailed it. I mean, he's great.
He's a Masters runner too.
Yeah, he is. And then we ran the Fenway Park Marathon together, which was 117 times around the warning track. And I still had an hour left, and he was done. And I was so jealous, but he cheered us on every single lap. He's the greatest.
Yeah, he won that marathon too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he set the record for the 7.
He did. He still has it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a beast, and he does all sorts of distances. You know, the ultras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you can put a good word in for me, I'd love to have him on the show.
Of course. Yeah, he's great. He sure would. Yeah, he's a great friend.
Yeah. All right, so you've also got your Boston streak going. So you've done 17. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone that's particularly your favorite out of those 17?
Probably my first one. You know, you always remember your first marathon, and that just happened to be Boston. And that's something that I will never, but it never gets old. I've crossed the finish line 17 times, and all 17 times is just as special as the first one. And seeing my family at the finish, and it's definitely my favorite. You know, I get to co-coach the John Hancock team, and they inspire me. They work so hard, and it's really fun to be a part of their journey. Many of them, some are 240 marathons, and some are very first timers. And it's awesome and inspiring to be. We go to the Red Sox game every year together and wrap up the season, and it's an honor to be a part of that team. They're great. And but every marathon is, I remember all of them really well. So if you tell me who won the marathon, then I can associate the year with it. I'm like, okay, that was in. So especially probably Meb winning the Boston Marathon after the bombing was definitely a favorite. But
2014,
yeah. So that was, and then Desi winning, and it's been so fun.
How did you like? You ran 2018, obviously, in the crazy weather. How did you fare in the weather?
Yeah, so I've run it I remember running it in extreme heat and then extreme cold. So for me, I don't like to be cold. And I remember my fingers going in a certain direction, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't get them to go back into the other way. And I just remember just get through it, you know. And so, but I feel like the worse the weather, when I start cheering other people on, and you come together and help each other out.
Yeah. So 2012 was the super hot year.
Yeah.
Not as hot as 76, but it was hot.
That was really hot. And I remember my people were like deferring, and I'm like, my streak, like and that's what I'm worried about for September. Like my streak, I just want to keep my streak. I don't want to be like, I run it every year except that one time. Like, I just don't want to go there. I just want to run it every year until I don't want to run it anymore, which will probably be never. But it's my favorite day. It's Patriots Day, my favorite thing to be doing.
Yeah, that's what this September would be 10 in a row for me. So I'm like hanging on to this. I'm like, I really want to get this 10 in a row, because I don't want to have to. You get that extra time.
Yeah, that's what I call, I don't mind if I do. So because then you sign up in August or end of August or early September, and then you're in. So you're in a month, like way before. And it's such an accomplishment to get to 10 Boston. That's when I got to 10 Boston consecutive marathons, that was definitely one of my biggest accomplishments.
Right. Well, something a lot of people might not know is you don't have to worry about that extra cutoff. You still got to qualify, but the extra time that they cut people off is you're automatically in
you're in it, and you're in well in advance. And this year I turned 40, so I got extra 5 minutes. So
wow, you look super young. Super young. But then there's also, you have your own race, right? 5K.
Yeah, I have my own race. It's 5th annual this year. It was supposed to be in April, but because of the coronavirus, it's pushed back till August 30th. And so it's a way for me to give back to my community. I have my scholarship fund, the Becca Pizzi Scholarship Fund, and I'm really proud of that, because that's another way for me to give back to graduating seniors. So just to give them a little college, help. But it's super important even now, this day and age, just to be able to still help out even when when things aren't going our way.
Where is this race held? Is it in?
It's in Belmont, and it's a 5K. And last year we've had over 500 runners, which the very first time we had 1 month to put it on, and I went down to the bank and I'm like, let's put on this marathon, and you get your permits and everything. And we had 112 runners. So now that we have over 500, almost 600, I'm really proud of it, and so I partner with Fitness Together Belmont, and it's nice to, it's just, we've had 4 years of very successful 5K. So I'm really looking forward to year number 5. Hopefully we're able to have it.
We have a lot of Boston local runners in this group. So feel free to let us know, all the details about it. You'll get a lot of support from us, I'm sure.
Oh, thanks so much. I love that. I'd love to have you.
Yeah. No, this has been great. Is there what advice do you have for anybody that's listening today to get you to 17 straight Bostons? Any advice you can give to people?
Yeah, just put in the hard work and keep moving, and sometimes life's not going to go your way, and that's okay, but just regroup and stick to a routine, especially right now. Get up and do what you can do. So if it's 5K, if it's 10 miles, whatever it is that you can do, it's better than nothing. I have never regretted a run. So start your day. That's what it's so refreshing to set your alarm, get up and go running and come back in.
Yeah.
And I'm here for you. If you need anything, if you need support, if you need anything, message me. I'm happy to help you.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Oh, we have another question from the audience.
Sure.
Joseph Harrison, do you run shorter races as well?
Yeah, I love the 5K. Every year it gets harder and harder because I'm not as fast as I once was, but I love the 5K. But I always feel like my comfort zone is the marathon. So I feel like I'd always rather be running a marathon.
Yeah. Oh, if you like the 5K, please join our 5K championship challenge that we're going to do. It starts in 2 weeks. It's going to be, it's 128 runners. So it's going to be like the NCAA tournament. So every week you go head to head against one person. And then the winner moves on to the next round until we get to the championship. But it's all age graded. So it's like it levels the playing field. So you've got Gene Dykes in there killing everybody. He's running, 92% age graded.
Yeah, he's so awesome.
Yeah. He is great. He's local to me. So I get
he is? Okay. He's so fun. He's so fast. How old is he?
72.
That's awesome.
And we did a challenge last weekend. Him and Emily Morley went head to head. He ran
did he win?
He won. He had a 1918 5K.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, I'll put you down on the list.
I'm there.
Awesome. And get your friends to come too.
Yeah, sure will. I'll share it with the group.
That's awesome. So cool. Oh, this was great. I love this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This was so much fun. And I guess what can people do to buy your book? Where can they get it?
On beccapizzi.com. So if you just go to beccapizzi.com, it's all information and you can follow me there. There's all sorts of fun. I'm always up to something. So eventually I'm going to run across the US. That's a major goal of mine. I just have to mentally commit to doing that.
Well, I have a little secret for you. Well, it's not really a secret because I did announce it. I'm putting a relay together from Boston to Santa Monica.
Oh, that would be really fun.
So it's almost like 10-mile legs. So it's like, but if you want to just do the whole thing.
I can start you guys out and then just keep going.
Right. Just keep on going. Yeah. Stay tuned for information on that. But yeah, it would be great for you to run a leg or if you want to run the whole thing, feel free.
Yeah. I'd love to.
Yeah. You can get Dave. He can do it again.
Yeah. I'm sure he would.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Good luck with the book. Like I said, it's a great book. My daughter Peyton loves it, and she really liked that you signed it for her. She was
of course.
Like, really?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for being a part of the group. And we'll see you at the 5K Tournament of Champions.
Sounds great up there. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Becca. Bye bye.
Okay.